A quarter of Russia's oil production capacity just shut down. A different tone of voice, new perspectives and solid security guarantees. Zelenskyy meets Trump. While the world is talking about peace in Washington, Russia continues its terror in Ukraine with its latest attack on the town of Kremenchuk. We are UATV. My name is Yuriy Ushak and welcome to the news. Over the course of 2 weeks, Ukrainian kamikaze drones completely disabled 6 Russian oil refineries that accounted for nearly 25% of the country's total oil processing capacity. On 19th August, the Volgograd refinery was targeted again, and recently 2 EU countries, Slovakia and Hungary, have stopped getting cheap Russian oil. This is a result of the attack on the Druzhba, friendship in English, oil refinery in the Bryansk region, which has been successfully targeted for the 3rd time since the beginning of the year. As a result of these attacks, refinery has just shut down completely.
Putin has to make a move. He needs to propose some kind of solution or risk being left without gasoline, without fuel. And fuel is the lifeblood of the economy. So he's faced with a choice. Either divert massive resources and forces to protect the oil refineries, even if that means pulling air defenses from the front lines, or pour billions of rubles into developing new technologies. Most likely, the idea of an air truce wasn't Lukashenko's, but Putin's. Because for Putin, this situation is terrifying.
Russia's financial difficulties can be explained in just 3 easy terms: a decline in oil and gas revenues, a sharp increase in military spending, and the failure to meet tax collection targets set by the Kremlin. Between January and July 2025 alone, Russia's budget deficit reached staggering $61 billion, nearly 4 times higher than the originally planned $14.6 billion. The country's military-industrial machine is consuming around $150 billion annually. Please note, dollars, not rubles. Russia is now being forced to cut back on cannon fodder by reducing one-time enlistment payments in several regions amidst a federal budget shortfall and growing financial strain. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy returned to the White House on Monday for a new round of discussions with US President Donald Trump as efforts to find a path towards ending the war in Ukraine continues. European leaders joined the talks in Washington, coming just days after Trump's summit with Russian dictator Vladimir Putin in Alaska, an event that marked the end of 3 years-long diplomatic deprivation of his and ended without a clear ceasefire agreement.
They are first line of defense because they're there. They're Europe, but we're going to help them out also. We'll be involved.
And this is a part, I think. It's not a part for the war and to defend us. It also will be a part for security guarantees, to strengthen our army, to rearm Ukrainian army. This is very, very important. And it depends how much money we need to rearm. For example, the question of air defense, we spoke about it with President Trump.
Overall, the second Oval Office meeting of Trump and Zelenskyy went way better than the first one, and I mean it. The tone of voice of both presidents was optimistic, and Volodymyr Zelenskyy even brought a gift, a golf club, which was given to him by Ukrainian Junior Sergeant of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Kostiantin Kartavtsev. Kartavtsev lost his leg in the first month of the full-scale Russian invasion while saving his brothers in arms. Trump accepted the gift and recorded a video thanking the Ukrainian defender. It is also reported that the US president in turn presented Zelenskyy with symbolic keys to the White House. Trump revealed on Truth Social that he had spoken with Putin about obviously arranging direct talks between the Russian dictator and Ukrainian president. He suggested that after a bilateral meeting, a trilateral session involving the US might follow. A Kremlin aide later confirmed that Trump and Putin held a 40-minute phone conversation on Monday.
I had a very good meeting with distinguished guests, which ended in a further meeting in the Oval Office. During the meeting, we discussed security guarantees for Ukraine, which guarantees would be provided by the various European countries, with coordination with the United States of America. Everyone is very happy about the possibility of peace for Russia, Ukraine. At the conclusion of the meetings, I called President Putin and began the arrangements for a meeting at a location to be determined between President Putin and President Zelenskyy, Donald Trump, President of the United States, on Truth Social.
Before the broader meeting with European leaders, Trump was caught on a hot mic telling French President Emmanuel Macron, I quote, "I think he wants to make a deal. I think he wants to make a deal for me. You understand that? Whether a meeting with Putin, let alone a deal, actually materializes in the first place, it remains uncertain." However, Zelenskyy has long advocated for a face-to-face with Putin, largely to demonstrate Moscow's unwillingness to engage in genuine peace talks. Well, so far, the Kremlin has repeatedly dismissed the idea. And now, late Monday, however, Kremlin aide Yuriy Ushak said it might be worthwhile to consider, I quote, raising the level of representatives in negotiations, but stopped short of confirming anything else but that. Amongst Ukraine's European allies, there's still a commitment. There needs to be a solid guarantee for Ukrainian security, and that is nothing short by supported with American and European weapons and training a strong Ukrainian army.
It was agreed today that we will work with the United States of America on the content of these security guarantees and the cooperation that each side is prepared to provide. I was able to go over, again this afternoon, on the content of these security guarantees, which consist of a robust Ukrainian army, which carries weight and can resist and deter any attempted attack, and so without limitations in numbers, capabilities, weapons, etc. And then there are also reassurance forces at sea, in the air, and on land that the Allies are ready to provide to Ukraine.
Ukraine will also commit to purchasing $100 billion worth of American weapons. Trump signaled a stronger U.S. role in guaranteeing Ukraine's security under any future deal. While he did not commit to sending troops, he did not rule it out either. "We'll give them good protection," Trump told reporters, adding that Europe would remain the first line of defense. Zelenskyy later revealed that security guarantees could include a $90 billion US-Ukraine arms agreement. That is covering advanced systems Ukraine currently lacks so much, such as aviation and anti-missile defense, alongside undisclosed equipment. The deal would also see the US purchase Ukrainian drones to bolster domestic production. These guarantees could be finalized within as fast as in already 10 days, Zelenskyy said.
Security guarantees will probably be unpacked by our partners, and more details will emerge. All of this will somehow be formalized on paper within the next week to 10 days, like I said before.
European leaders that came to support the peace initiative are aiming at long and comprehensive work to help Ukraine rebuild its self-constructed, reliable security guarantee and a strong army. And they are committed to this goal indeed.
Today's meeting was good and constructive, and there was a real sense of unity between the European leaders that were there and President Trump and President Zelenskyy. And we had two material outcomes. The first, on the question of security guarantees, was the agreement that the coalition of willing countries, that's 30 countries already working together on security guarantees, will now work with the US on those guarantees, coordinating, and we have already commissioned our teams to do the detailed further work on.
Eine echte Verhandlung kann es.
Genuine negotiations can only take place at a summit in which Ukraine itself also participates. Such a summit is only conceivable if the weapons fall silent. I have reiterated this demand today. Secondly, such a summit must be thoroughly prepared. We do not know whether the Russian president will have the courage to attend such a summit. That is why persuasion is needed.
At the time of Trump's phone call with Putin, the Russian dictator's troops launched a massive combined terror attack on the central regions of Ukraine. According to the Ukrainian Air Force, the enemy used 270 Shahed attack drones and at least 10 missiles of various types. Ukrainian air defense managed to shoot down 230 drones and 6 missiles. Well, this move clearly signals what the Kremlin ruler actually is thinking of any peace initiatives. The city of Kremenchuk became one of the main targets of the attack. The energy infrastructure, several administrative buildings and industrial facilities were severely damaged, as a result of which the whole area was covered in thick smoke. Residents left with no power, public transportation was restricted, but this time, according to official data, there were no civilian casualties. In addition, the mayor of the city reported on his Facebook page that during the night attack, the Russian military used cluster munitions. These parts, which are scattered around the city, and this type of weapon poses a particular danger to civilian population. As some of these deadly parts do not explode immediately, they just are on a time delay, posing a risk to people for a long and unpredictable period of time. So Mayor of Kremenchuk urged people not to touch and approach such metal parts, as they can explode at any time. It was Andy Keane at UATV. Thank you so very much for standing with Ukraine. Please don't forget to subscribe to stay tuned to what is happening in the world, presented to you from Ukrainian perspective. Goodbye.